The holographic display flickered to life in the center of the Galactic Council chamber, showing a primitive blue world spinning slowly on its axis. Ambassador Vextar of the Korthani Empire leaned back in his crystalline throne, mandibles clicking in what passed for laughter among his species. "This is what has the Council concerned?" His voice carried across the vast chamber, echoing off walls that had witnessed the rise and fall of 1,000 civilizations. These humans. Around the circular chamber, representatives from 47 species shifted in their seats. Some chittered, others hummed, and a few released pheromones that translated to amusement in the universal atmosphere processors. The Zephyrians' tentacles writhed with mirth, while the silicon-based Crothan buzzed their approval through harmonic resonance. High Chancellor Mordeth, an ancient Etherean whose translucent form had overseen galactic politics for 3 millennia, raised one gossamer appendage for silence. The chamber fell quiet, save for the low hum of life support systems keeping dozens of incompatible atmospheres separated by energy fields. "The matter is not their primitiveness." Mordeth's mental voice touched every mind present. "It is their audacity. They dare to request membership in our council." The laughter returned, louder this time. Ambassador Quinera of the Hegemony slammed her four-armed torso against her speaker's podium. "Membership? These creatures have barely left their own solar system. Their fastest ships crawl through space like insects through amber." On the holographic display, Earth's single moon hung beside the planet like a pale companion. Data streams flowed alongside the image, atmospheric composition, population density, technological assessments. The numbers painted a picture of a young, aggressive species that had only recently discovered faster-than-light travel. "According to our scouts," Mordeth continued, "they have sent exactly one vessel to represent their entire species. One ship, carrying a delegation of 12 individuals." The chamber erupted again. This time, the laughter carried an edge of disbelief. Vextar's claws scraped against his throne's armrests. "One ship? Not a fleet? Not even a proper escort? The vessel is currently 3 standard hours from our border," reported Intelligence Coordinator Thex, her cybernetic implants glowing as she accessed real-time data. "Mass approximately 2,000 tons. Crew complement of 15, including their diplomatic team. Armament? Minimal." "Minimal?" Quinera's voice rose to a shriek that would have shattered glass in a terrestrial atmosphere. "What kind of species sends an unarmed diplomatic vessel into unknown space?" Through the chamber's vast viewing ports, the assembled delegates could see the distant stars that marked the edge of council space. Somewhere out there, humanity's lone ship approached the greatest collection of military might the galaxy had ever known. The combined fleet stationed at the border consisted of over 10,000 vessels, each one capable of sterilizing a planet. Mordeth's form pulsed with what might have been anticipation. "Perhaps they are simply ignorant of our capabilities. Their communications suggest they believe themselves special." More data flowed across the hologram. Intercepted transmissions from Earth showed a species that had barely survived its own nuclear adolescence, yet somehow maintained optimistic outlooks about joining a galactic community. Their messages spoke of trade, cultural exchange, and mutual cooperation. "Cooperation?" Vextar spat, the word sounding like a curse in his guttural language. "They speak as equals to those who conquered stars while their ancestors were crawling in mud." "The humans have one thing right," rumbled General Korthak of the Military Council, his massive frame dwarfing even Vextar's bulk. "They will indeed be joining us. As subjects, not equals." The general's declaration sent waves of approval through the chamber. Species after species had approached the council in their early spacefaring days, and all had eventually submitted to the established order. Some joined willingly, attracted by the benefits of galactic civilization. Others required more persuasive measures. "Their submission will be swift," Korthak continued, his scarred hide bearing testament to a dozen campaigns. "A demonstration of power, perhaps the destruction of their escort." "Oh wait." Mock realization dawned in his 4 eyes. "They have no escort." The chamber's atmosphere system struggled to process the cocktail of pheromones, electromagnetic discharges, and subsonic harmonics that represented unbridled mirth among the diverse species present. Mordeth allowed the laughter to continue for precisely 30 seconds before calling for order. Very well. When their vessel arrives, we shall receive them with appropriate ceremony. General Korthak, prepare a demonstration. Something that will impress upon these humans the reality of their situation. With pleasure, High Chancellor. Perhaps we should destroy their moon. A show of force visible from their homeworld would send an unmistakable message. Too dramatic, Mordeth replied. We want submission, not extinction. Their species shows promise as laborers. As the council session drew to a close, none of the assembled delegates noticed the slight anomaly in their sensor readings. Somewhere in the void between stars, humanity's lone ship continued its approach, its hull reflecting starlight in patterns that seemed almost too perfect, too deliberate. The galaxy laughed at humanity's audacity. That laughter would not last much longer. Captain Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the UES Endeavour, watching the vast star field ahead gradually shift as they approached the council's border. Her reflection stared back from the viewport, a woman in her mid-40s, graying hair pulled back in a regulation bun, eyes that had seen humanity's first stumbling steps into the cosmos. Sensor contact, called Lieutenant Torres from his station. Multiple signatures ahead. Looks like. He paused, double-checking his readings. Ma'am, I'm showing over 10,000 vessels. Chun nodded calmly. Expected. They want to impress us. Behind her, the diplomatic team exchanged glances. Ambassador Martinez, Earth's most experienced negotiator, stepped forward. Captain, perhaps we should consider. Our orders are clear, Ambassador. Chen's voice carried the weight of absolute certainty. We proceed as planned. The Endeavour was humanity's finest achievement. A sleek vessel barely 2 kilometers long, its hull gleaming with an almost mirror-like finish. To alien sensors, it appeared unremarkable. Standard fusion drives, basic defensive screens, a small crew compartment. What those sensors couldn't detect were the modifications hidden beneath layers of stealth composites and quantum shielding. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the mission's chief scientist, monitored her instruments with the intensity of a conductor watching her orchestra. All systems nominal. The package remains stable. Chun allowed herself a small smile. The package. 3 decades of humanity's brightest minds had contributed to that innocuous term. Time to boarder? 17 minutes, Torres replied. The Endeavour had launched from Earth's Luna shipyard 6 months ago, carrying the hopes and fears of 8 billion people. But unlike the alien observers believed, this wasn't humanity's first venture into deep space. For the past 50 years, unmanned probes had mapped every star system within 100 light-years, cataloging worlds, resources, and most importantly, the various species that called this region of the galaxy home. Humanity knew exactly what they were flying into. Captain, called Communications Officer Park, we're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet. It's demanding. Put it through. The bridge speakers crackled with alien harmonics before the universal translator processed the signal. Primitive vessel, you will reduce velocity and prepare for escort to the council chambers. Any deviation from prescribed course will result in immediate destruction. Chun exchanged a look with Ambassador Martinez. Standard diplomatic courtesy, she murmured. The ambassador stepped toward the communication station. This is Ambassador Martinez representing Earth and all humanity. We appreciate the Galactic Council's willingness to receive us. We're honored by this escort. The response came swiftly, tinged with what the translator interpreted as amusement. Escort? You misunderstand, primitive. You are prisoners being delivered for judgment. Dr. Vasquez looked up from her console, eyebrows raised. Well, that's refreshingly honest. Through the viewport, the alien fleet began to resolve into individual shapes. Massive dreadnoughts bristling with weapons, sleek destroyers that moved like predators through space, and support vessels that dwarfed Earth's largest space stations. The formation was clearly designed for intimidation, a wall of military might that had crushed 100 civilizations. Ma'am, Torres called out. They're targeting us with active sensors. Deep penetration scans. Let them look, Chen replied. They'll see exactly what we want them to see. The Endeavor's computers had been programmed to present specific readings to alien scanners. Fusion reactors operating at standard efficiency. Basic defensive systems powered but not charging. A crew complement of 15 humans, their biometric signatures indicating elevated stress levels appropriate for a first contact situation. What the scans couldn't penetrate was the vessel's true heart, a chamber shielded by technologies that Earth's scientists had discovered in the ruins of an ancient civilization on Kepler 442b. Inside that chamber, suspended in a field of exotic matter, waited humanity's gift to the galaxy. The Council fleet is beautiful, Ambassador Martinez commented, genuine appreciation in his voice as he watched the alien formations. Look at those ships, the artistry, the engineering. These species have been perfecting spaceflight for millennia. Pretty ships, agreed Chen. But they're also arrogant ships. Did you notice their formation? Martinez studied the alien fleet more carefully. The massive vessels held position with their weapons oriented toward the Endeavor, creating an impressive display of firepower. But from a tactical standpoint, the formation was designed for show rather than combat effectiveness. They're not expecting a fight, Dr. Vasquez observed. They think we're helpless, which we want them to think, Chun reminded her team. Remember, everyone, we're terrified representatives of a primitive species. Act accordingly. The bridge crew nodded. Each had been selected not just for their technical skills, but for their ability to play their part in humanity's greatest deception. Earth's intelligence services had spent decades studying intercepted alien communications, learning how these species expected lesser civilizations to behave. Incoming transmission, Park announced. This time, the voice belonged to a different species, something that sounded vaguely reptilian. Human vessel, you will follow the designated course markers to the Council station. Any attempt to scan our facilities or deviate from the prescribed path will be met with lethal force. Understood, Martinez replied, injecting just the right amount of nervousness into his voice. We're honored by this opportunity to meet with the Council. The alien's response carried clear amusement. Honor. Yes, I'm sure you are. As the Endeavor began following the course markers deeper into Council space, Chun noticed something interesting. The alien fleet was indeed massive, but it was also spread thin. Their formation covered an enormous volume of space, creating the impression of overwhelming force while actually reducing their effective concentration. Dr. Vasquez, she said quietly, are you getting good readings on their shield frequencies? Crystal clear, Captain. And their weapon signatures. Plasma-based energy weapons, kinetic accelerators, some kind of exotic particle beam. All very impressive. And all useless against what we're carrying. Through the viewport, a structure began to resolve in the distance, the Council station, a massive construct that could house millions of beings. It grew larger as they approached, its geometric patterns suggesting architectural influences from dozens of different species. Chun felt the familiar calm that came before action. Humanity had spent 50 years preparing for this moment. Now it was time to see if their preparations had been sufficient. The galaxy was about to discover that sometimes the prey had teeth. The Council station loomed before them like a metallic moon, its surface a patchwork of architectural styles from across the galaxy. Docking arms extended toward the Endeavor as their escort of battleships maintained threatening positions around the diplomatic vessel. Captain Chun watched the docking procedure with professional interest. They're being very careful with us. Probably afraid we might contaminate their station, Dr. Vasquez observed from her console. Primitive microbes and all that. The docking clamps engaged with a series of mechanical thuds that resonated through the ship's hull. Immediately, Chen's sensors detected scanning beams probing the Endeavor's interior. The aliens weren't taking any chances. They wanted to know exactly what they were bringing aboard their station. Scans are showing exactly what we programmed them to show, reported Torres. Basic human physiology, standard diplomatic equipment, some cultural artifacts from Earth. Nothing threatening. Ambassador Martinez straightened his formal diplomatic attire. a carefully chosen ensemble designed to appear both respectful and slightly primitive by galactic standards. How long until we meet with the Council? Unknown, Chen replied. But I suspect they'll want to make us wait. Psychological intimidation is standard procedure for them. The airlock cycled, and their first alien contact stepped aboard. The being stood nearly 3 meters tall, with segmented armor that might have been biological or technological. Multiple eye stalks swiveled to examine each human crew member, while appendages that could have been arms or legs moved with predatory grace. I am Security Coordinator Zethkali, the creature announced through a translation device that gave its voice a mechanical undertone. You will follow standard decontamination and security protocols before being permitted into Council space. The humans exchanged nervous glances, exactly the response Zethkali expected. What the security coordinator didn't realize was that every nervous gesture had been rehearsed, every fearful expression carefully calibrated to reinforce alien assumptions about human psychology. Of course, Martinez replied, his voice carrying just the right tremor of uncertainty. We're honored to comply with your procedures. The decontamination process took 2 hours. Each human was subjected to biological scans, electromagnetic sweeps, and what appeared to be some form of psychic probe. The aliens were thorough, but their technology was designed to detect conventional threats. They found nothing unusual about the human delegation. Dr. Vasquez suppressed a smile as the scanners passed harmlessly over her. Hidden beneath her skin, quantum-encrypted implants recorded every detail of alien technology and security procedures. The data would be invaluable for future operations, assuming there was a future for humanity after today. Finally, they were escorted through corridors that showcased the Council's power. Massive viewports displayed the combined fleet, still maintaining its threatening formation around the station. Holographic displays showed star maps marking territories controlled by various Council species, with Earth appearing as a tiny, isolated dot on the galactic rim. Impressive, whispered Dr. Vasquez to Chan as they passed a display showing Council military statistics. 10,000 species under their control. Combined fleet strength of over 1 million vessels. All the more reason for our approach to work, Chun murmured back. The Council chamber was even more imposing than their intelligence reports had suggested. The circular room stretched for kilometers, with viewing galleries rising into shadows far above. Representatives from dozens of species occupied elaborate seats designed for their particular physiologies, while holographic projectors displayed data streams and star charts. At the chamber's center, High Chancellor Mordeth awaited them, her ethereal form shifting between states of matter like a living aurora. When she spoke, her voice resonated directly in their minds. Welcome, humans of Earth, to the Galactic Council. You stand before the gathered representatives of civilizations that span this galaxy, species that have achieved wonders beyond your comprehension. Ambassador Martinez stepped forward, maintaining the careful balance between confidence and deference that humanity's behavioral analysts had determined would be most effective. High Chancellor, we are deeply honored by this opportunity. Humanity has dreamed of this moment since we first looked up at the stars. A ripple of what might have been amusement passed through the assembled delegates. Vextar leaned forward in his crystalline throne, mandibles clicking. Dreams? How quaint. Tell me, human, what exactly do you believe you have to offer this council? The question was clearly a trap, designed to expose human arrogance or ignorance. Martinez had prepared for this moment his entire career. We offer what every species offers, our unique perspective, our contributions to galactic civilization, and our willingness to learn from those who have achieved so much more than we have. And what makes you believe, interjected General Korthak, his massive frame radiating menace, that your perspective has any value to civilizations that mastered space travel while your species was learning to make fire? Dr. Vasquez felt her pulse quicken. This was it, the moment when humanity's gamble would either pay off or destroy them. She caught Captain Chen's eye and saw the slight nod that meant everything was ready. General Korthak raises an excellent point, Martinez replied smoothly. We're young, we're inexperienced, and we have much to learn. But sometimes, The youngest voice in the room asks the most important questions. Mordetha's form pulsed with what might have been interest. And what question would that be? Young human? Martinez paused, allowing tension to build in the chamber. Around them, alien representatives leaned forward slightly, curious despite themselves about what this primitive species might dare to ask. "We've studied your magnificent civilization from afar," Martinez began. "Your fleets, your technology, your vast territories. It's all incredibly impressive. But we noticed something interesting in your expansion patterns." The chamber fell silent. Even the background hum of life support systems seemed to fade. "You expand outward, claiming new systems, new worlds. But your expansion has slowed in recent centuries. In fact, it's almost stopped completely. So our question is simple. In a galaxy with billions of potentially habitable worlds, why did you stop growing?" The silence stretched for several heartbeats. Then Vexstar's laughter shattered the quiet. "Because there's nothing left worth taking, primitive. We've claimed every world of value. What remains are barren rocks and systems too remote to matter." "Ah," Martinez nodded. "That makes sense. So when your scouts reported that Earth's system contains 11 potentially habitable worlds, including 3 with existing biospheres, they must have made an error." The laughter stopped abruptly. Dr. Vasquez watched alien expressions change as the implications sank in. Earth's system wasn't just one small world. It was a cluster of terraformable planets that these advanced civilizations had somehow overlooked. 11 worlds? Mordetha's mental voice carried a sharp edge. "Mars is already partially terraformed," Martinez continued conversationally. "Europa and Enceladus have thriving subsurface biospheres. Titan's atmosphere just needs a little adjustment. And we've identified 7 other bodies that could support life with minimal intervention." Around the chamber, alien delegates began rapid consultations. Holographic displays updated with new data about the Sol system, information that painted a very different picture of humanity's home. General Korthak's 4 eyes narrowed dangerously. "You're claiming that your primitive species has access to resources we missed?" Martinez smiled with perfect diplomatic calm. "Oh no, General. We're not claiming anything. We're offering to share." The galaxy was about to learn that humans didn't just ask unexpected questions. Sometimes they had unexpected answers. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Alien voices rose in harmony and discord as species that had been allies for millennia suddenly saw potential rivals. Holographic displays flickered between star charts and resource assessments while security forces moved to elevated alert status. High Chancellor Mordetha's ethereal form blazed with intensity as she imposed order through sheer psychic presence. "Silence!" Her mental command struck every mind in the chamber like a physical blow. "The human will explain these claims immediately." Ambassador Martinez maintained his diplomatic composure, though Captain Chun noticed the slight tension in his shoulders. They were approaching the most dangerous part of their gambit. "High Chancellor, perhaps there's been a misunderstanding. We're not making claims. We're offering information." "Information?" General Korthak growled, his scarred hide rippling with barely contained aggression. "About resources in your system that our surveys supposedly missed." "Your surveys were conducted 47 years ago," Dr. Vasquez interjected, stepping forward with the confidence of someone presenting scientific data. "Long-range scans from the galactic rim. But you were looking for already developed civilizations, not potential terraforming candidates." She gestured, and with perfectly timed precision, her concealed implants interfaced with the chamber's holographic systems. Earth's solar system appeared in 3-dimensional detail above the assembled delegates, but this version showed details that no alien survey had detected. "Mars," she began, highlighting the red planet, "shows subsurface water reserves 60% greater than your scans indicated. The atmosphere requires only carbon processing to support most council species." Alien delegates leaned forward as the data updated. Spectral analyses revealed mineral deposits, atmospheric compositions, and gravitational surveys that painted a picture of unprecedented wealth. "Europa and Enceladus," Vasquez continued, contain biospheres that produce compounds essential for 17 different council species biochemistries, compounds that currently cost millions of credits to synthesize. The chamber's atmosphere processors struggled to handle the complex mix of pheromones, electromagnetic emissions, and harmonic frequencies as dozens of species reacted to the implications. These weren't just habitable worlds. They were treasure troves that had been sitting unnoticed on the galaxy's rim. Vextar's mandibles clicked rapidly as he processed the information. Impossible. Our scanning technology is the most advanced in the galaxy. We would have detected these resources. From 47 light-years away? Martinez asked mildly. Through stellar interference and cosmic dust? Your technology is indeed impressive, but even the most advanced sensors have limitations. Captain Chun watched the alien reactions carefully. Everything was proceeding according to their psychological profiles. The council species were brilliant, ancient, and powerful, but they were also arrogant. That arrogance made them vulnerable to exactly the kind of misdirection humanity was employing. You said 11 worlds, rumbled Ambassador Quinn Era, her forearms gesturing at the holographic display. I count only 9 candidates. Dr. Vasquez smiled. The other 2 are mobile. The hologram shifted, revealing the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. But instead of showing random space debris, it highlighted 2 massive objects moving in carefully controlled orbits. Ceres and Vesta, Vasquez explained. Dwarf planets with enough mass to support artificial gravity and atmospheric retention. We've been using them as test subjects for our terraforming experiments. The silence that followed was profound. Even the chamber's life support systems seemed to hold their breath. Terraforming experiments? Mordetha's mental voice carried dangerous undertones. You're claiming that your primitive species has mastered terraforming? This was the moment Chun had been dreading and anticipating in equal measure. Humanity's greatest lie, supported by their greatest truth. Not mastered, Martinez replied carefully, but we've made significant progress. Necessity, as they say, is the mother of invention. When you're confined to one system, you learn to make the most of what you have. General Korthak stood abruptly, his massive frame casting shadows across the nearest delegates. This is ridiculous. Terraforming requires technology that takes civilizations millennia to develop. You've been spacefaring for less than a century. General, Martinez said quietly. With respect, that's not entirely accurate. The holographic display shifted again, showing Earth's moon. But this version revealed structures that no alien survey had detected. Installations hidden beneath the lunar surface, connected by tunnels that formed a vast underground city. We've been spacefaring for over 2 centuries, Martinez continued, but we've been discreet about it. When you're alone in the galaxy, you learn caution. Dr. Vasquez highlighted sections of the lunar installation. Our primary research facility has been operational since 2157. Most of our terraforming work was conducted there, using the moon as a testing ground before moving to the outer planets. The assembled delegates stared at the evidence with growing alarm. This wasn't the primitive species their scouts had reported. This was a civilization that had been hiding its capabilities for 2 centuries, developing in secret while the galaxy ignored them. Why reveal this now? Vextar demanded. Why expose your capabilities to us? Ambassador Martinez looked around the chamber, meeting the alien gazes with steady confidence. Because hiding is no longer an option. Your recent expansion brought Council territory within 50 light-years of our border. Our long-range sensors detect your scout ships approaching our system. Contact was inevitable. So you chose to make the first move, Mordeth observed. Interesting strategy for a species you claim practices caution. We prefer to control the terms of our introduction, Martinez replied. Better to meet as potential partners than to be discovered as hidden threats. General Korthak's laugh was a sound like grinding stone. Partners? You speak of partnership with species that could destroy your entire system with a single fleet action. Chun felt the moment approaching, the critical point where humanity's gamble would either succeed or result in their extinction. She stepped forward, her captain's uniform suddenly seeming less ceremonial and more military. "General Korthak, you're absolutely right. Your fleet could destroy our system. But could you do it before we demonstrated our terraforming techniques to every species in the galaxy?" The general's 4 eyes narrowed. "What are you implying, human?" "I'm not implying anything," Chun replied with perfect calm. "I'm stating fact. Our ship carries complete terraforming data, atmospheric processing techniques, gravity manipulation technology, biological adaptation protocols. Information that would be valuable to any species looking to expand their territory." The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. Humanity wasn't just offering partnership, they were threatening to share game-changing technology with anyone willing to bid for it. Mordetha's form pulsed with dangerous energy. "You would destabilize the galactic balance of power?" Chun smiled, and for the first time it wasn't diplomatic. It was predatory. "High Chancellor, we're not here to destabilize anything. We're here to join something. The question is whether the Council wants exclusive access to our resources and technology, or whether they'd prefer we shop around." The galaxy had stopped laughing. Now it was listening very carefully indeed. The tension in the council chamber could have been cut with a plasma blade. Alien delegates who had been casually dismissive of humanity minutes earlier now stared at the small group of humans with expressions ranging from calculation to barely contained fury. High Chancellor Mordetha's ethereal form flickered between states of matter as she processed the implications of humanity's revelation. "You would threaten the Council with technology distribution?" "Not threaten," Ambassador Martinez replied smoothly. "Offer. There's a significant difference." General Korthak's massive frame trembled with rage. "You dare negotiate from a position of weakness? 1 ship, 15 crew members, sitting in the heart of our territory surrounded by 10,000 vessels." Captain Chun stepped forward, her expression perfectly calm. "General, I think there's been a misunderstanding about our position." She nodded to Dr. Vasquez, who activated another hidden subroutine in her quantum implants. The chamber's holographic display shifted, showing the space around the council station. But this view revealed something that alien sensors had somehow missed. The Endeavor wasn't alone. "Sensor ghosts," whispered Coordinator Thex, her cybernetic implants flaring with activity as she tried to reconcile the new data. "Impossible. Our detection grid is absolute." The hologram showed 17 additional vessels, each one previously invisible to Council technology. They hung in space around the station like patient predators, their hulls absorbing and redirecting electromagnetic radiation in patterns that had fooled even the most advanced sensors. "Stealth technology," Chun explained conversationally. "We've had 2 centuries to perfect it. When you're hiding from galactic civilization, you learn to be very, very quiet." Ambassador Vextar's mandibles clicked in rapid staccato. 17 ships? You brought an invasion fleet to our home system. 18 ships, Martinez corrected gently. And they're not an invasion fleet. They're our insurance policy. Dr. Vasquez highlighted one of the hidden vessels, magnifying its image until details became visible. Unlike the sleek Endeavor, this ship was clearly built for a different purpose. Its hull bristled with weapon systems that didn't match any technology in the Council's databases. "The UES Retribution," she announced. "Humanity's first dedicated warship. Built using technology we discovered in the ruins on Kepler 442b. The chamber erupted again, but this time the chaos carried a different tone. Fear was beginning to mix with anger as the assembled delegates realized they were no longer negotiating with helpless primitives. "Ruins?" Mordetha's mental voice carried sharp interest. "What ruins?" Chin smiled. "That's part of what we're offering to share. Kepler 442b was home to a civilization that vanished approximately 50,000 years ago. They left behind technology that, well, let's just say it's been very educational." The holographic display shifted again, showing images from Kepler 442b. Ancient structures rose from alien landscapes, their architecture suggesting engineering principles that transcended conventional physics. Massive crystalline formations hummed with dormant energy, while metallic structures seemed to phase in and out of visible reality. The previous inhabitants, Dr. Vasquez continued, achieved a level of technological development that surpassed even current council standards. Their abandoned cities are treasure troves of advanced physics, energy manipulation, and dimensional mathematics. General Korthak leaned forward, his scarred hide rippling. And you've had access to this technology for how long? Long enough, Chen replied. Long enough to understand its potential, and long enough to implement some of its applications. She gestured toward the hidden fleet on the holographic display. Our ships don't just use stealth technology, General. They use principles that your sensors can't detect because your physics models don't account for them. Coordinator Thex's implants flared again as she ran increasingly desperate scans. I'm detecting energy signatures that shouldn't be possible. Power outputs that exceed theoretical maximums. Theoretical maximums based on current galactic understanding of physics, Martinez clarified. The previous inhabitants of Kepler 442b had a rather different perspective on universal constants. Around the chamber, alien delegates were conducting urgent consultations. Species that had been secure in their technological superiority for millennia suddenly faced the possibility that primitives from the galactic rim had leapfrogged their development by accessing ancient technologies. Vextar stood abruptly. This is impossible. If such technology existed, we would have found it. The Council has surveyed every system within 500 light-years. Actually, Dr. Vasquez said apologetically, you haven't. Your surveys focus on active civilizations and resource-rich systems. Dead worlds in the galactic rim don't rate detailed investigation. She highlighted star charts showing the density of Council exploration efforts. The pattern was clear: intensive coverage in the galactic center and major spiral arms, with sparse attention paid to the outer rim where Earth's system resided. Kepler 442b appeared to be just another failed colony world. She continued. Class M planet with a dead biosphere, no active technology signatures, no strategic value. Easy to overlook. Until someone actually landed on it, Chen added. High Chancellor Mordetha's form blazed with energy as she processed the implications. A previously unknown alien civilization with advanced technology, accessed by humans who had been secretly developing for 2 centuries, now sitting in the heart of Council space with capabilities that couldn't be properly assessed. What do you want? She asked bluntly. Martinez smiled. What we've always wanted, High Chancellor. Membership in the Galactic Council. Full membership with voting rights and territorial recognition. And in exchange, exclusive access to our terraforming technology, our research data from Kepler 442b, and other discoveries we've made during our expansion. General Korthak's laugh was bitter. Expansion? You claim to control only one system. Oh no, General, Chen replied quietly. We claim to have originated from one system. There's a significant difference. The holographic display zoomed out, showing a much wider view of the galactic rim. 17 star systems glowed with subtle energy signatures that matched the hidden fleet around the Council station. 17 colonies, Dr. Vasquez announced. All established using stealth technology and ancient alien science. All connected by communication networks that your sensors can't detect. The silence that followed was absolute. The Council delegates stared at the evidence of a human civilization that spanned dozens of worlds, hidden so effectively that even their most advanced intelligence networks had missed it entirely. You've been building an empire in secret, Mordeth observed. We've been preparing, Martinez corrected, for the day when contact with galactic civilization became inevitable. That day is today. Vextar's voice carried a dangerous edge. And if we refuse your offer? If we decide that your deception makes you too dangerous to exist? Captain Chen's expression didn't change, but her words carried the weight of absolute certainty. Then the galaxy learns about Kepler 442b from someone else. We've prepared for that contingency as well. The chamber fell silent as the full scope of humanity's gambit became clear. They hadn't come as supplicants seeking admission to galactic society. They had come as a hidden power revealing themselves on their own terms, offering partnership to the Council while making clear that rejection would mean facing them as competitors with access to technology the galaxy didn't understand. High Chancellor Mordetha's form pulsed with what might have been admiration. Elaborate deception, humans of Earth. You've played a dangerous game. Ambassador Martinez bowed slightly. High Chancellor, we learned long ago that in a galaxy full of predators, the prey that survives is the prey that grows teeth. The galaxy had stopped laughing at humanity. Now it was time to see if it was ready to welcome them as equals. The council chamber remained frozen in tense silence for what felt like an eternity. High Chancellor Mordetha's ethereal form flickered through various states of matter as she weighed options that could reshape galactic civilization. Around the circular chamber, representatives from 47 species engaged in rapid, hushed consultations, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of clicks, harmonics, and electromagnetic pulses. Captain Chun watched the aliens' reactions with the calm patience of someone who had spent months preparing for this exact moment. Every gesture, every pause, every flicker of uncertainty had been anticipated by Earth's behavioral analysts. Humanity's survival depended on reading these aliens correctly. General Korthak broke the silence first, his massive frame rising from his seat like a mountain coming to life. You speak of teeth, human, but predators recognize other predators. And sometimes they eliminate competition before it becomes a threat. His words sent ripples of tension through the chamber. Several species representatives shifted nervously, while others leaned forward with predatory interest. The military implications of humanity's revelations were becoming clear to everyone present. General, Ambassador Martinez replied with diplomatic calm. That would be inadvisable. Dr. Vasquez stepped forward, her scientific composure masking the weapons-grade intelligence hidden beneath her unassuming exterior. Perhaps a demonstration would be helpful. She activated another subroutine in her quantum implants, and the chamber's holographic display shifted to show the space immediately around the council station. The 17 hidden human vessels became clearly visible, their positions carefully chosen to create interlocking fields of fire that covered every approach to the massive structure. Each of our ships, she began, highlighting weapon systems that defied conventional physics, carries devices based on the Kepler 442b discoveries. We call them reality anchors. Ambassador Vextar's mandibles clicked nervously. Reality anchors? The previous inhabitants of Kepler 442b understood that what we call physical laws are actually more like suggestions, Chen explained. Reality anchors allow us to locally modify those suggestions. To demonstrate, she nodded to Dr. Vasquez, who transmitted a carefully modulated signal to the UES Retribution. In the holographic display, a section of empty space near the council station suddenly changed. Stars became visible through what should have been solid matter. Gravity wells inverted their polarity, and electromagnetic radiation began flowing in patterns that violated basic physics. Localized reality distortion, Dr. Vasquez explained as alien sensors struggled to process the impossible readings. We can alter fundamental constants within a limited area. Gravity, electromagnetic force, strong and weak nuclear forces, all become variable parameters. The demonstration lasted only 30 seconds, but its implications were staggering. The assembled delegates stared at readings that their most advanced science couldn't explain, let alone counter. High Chancellor Mordetha's mental voice carried a sharp edge of concern. You're claiming the ability to rewrite physics itself? Only locally and only temporarily, Martinez clarified. The energy requirements are enormous, and the effect radius is limited. But within those constraints, he gestured at the slowly normalizing space where reality had been temporarily negotiable. General Korthak's 4 eyes narrowed as he processed the tactical implications. How limited? Captain Chen's smile was perfectly diplomatic and utterly terrifying. Large enough to encompass this station, General, and the fleet surrounding it. The chamber erupted into chaos again, but this time the tone was different. Fear had joined anger and calculation in the complex mix of alien emotions. Species that had dominated the galaxy for millennia suddenly faced technology that could render their greatest advantages meaningless. This is why we prefer negotiation, Martinez continued over the noise. Reality distortion is unpredictable. We could accidentally tear a hole in spacetime, collapse local gravity into a black hole, or transform matter into exotic particles. The results would be unfortunate for everyone involved. Coordinator Thex's cybernetic implants flared as she ran probability calculations. You're threatening mutual destruction. We're offering mutual prosperity, Chun corrected. But yes, if pushed to extremes, we've ensured that any aggressive action against humanity would be extremely costly for the aggressor. High Chancellor Mordeth raised a gossamer appendage for silence, and the chamber gradually quieted. Her ethereal form pulsed with what might have been grudging respect. You've engineered a remarkably elegant trap, humans of Earth. Reveal yourselves as powerful enough to be valuable allies, dangerous enough that aggression carries unacceptable risks, and mysterious enough that elimination might mean losing access to revolutionary technology. We prefer to think of it as a foundation for mutual cooperation, Martinez replied. But there's something you haven't addressed, interjected Ambassador Quinn Era, her forearms gesturing at the holographic displays. Trust. You've demonstrated that your species is capable of elaborate deception, secret expansion, and technological development that surpasses our understanding. Why should we believe that partnership with humanity would be anything other than a precursor to eventual conquest? The question hung in the chamber like a physical presence. It was the core issue that Earth's diplomatic team had known they would face. How do you convince potential allies that you're trustworthy when you've just revealed 2 centuries of successful deception? Dr. Vasquez stepped forward again, but this time her expression carried something that hadn't been there before. Genuine emotion that transcended diplomatic calculation. Because, she said quietly, we're tired of being alone. The simplicity of the statement seemed to catch the assembled delegates off guard. After hours of technological demonstrations and political maneuvering, the human scientist had offered something entirely different: vulnerability. For 200 years, she continued, humanity has existed in isolation. We've built cities on dead worlds, developed technologies that would make us gods by our ancestors' standards, and spread across 17 star systems. But we did it all alone. No trade partners, no cultural exchange, no one to share our discoveries with except ourselves. She gestured at the holographic display, which now showed images from human colonies. Vast cities carved into asteroid surfaces, artificial biospheres teeming with life, research stations where scientists worked to unlock the mysteries of ancient alien technology. Look at what we've accomplished in isolation, she said. Now imagine what we could accomplish as part of a galactic community. Imagine what the galaxy could accomplish with access to our discoveries. Captain Chun nodded, picking up the thread. We didn't reveal ourselves because we want to conquer the galaxy. We revealed ourselves because we want to join it. But we learned caution from studying your history. Species that revealed themselves too early became subjects, not members. She highlighted historical data showing the fates of various civilizations that had encountered the Council. Some had been absorbed peacefully, others had been conquered, but all had ultimately become subordinate to the established galactic order. We chose a different path, Chin continued. We developed in secret until we could meet you as equals, not as primitives seeking your protection. Ambassador Martinez stepped forward, his diplomatic training evident in every gesture. The Galactic Council stands at a crossroads. You can welcome humanity as a full member, gaining access to technologies and resources that could revolutionize galactic civilization. Or you can view us as a threat to be eliminated, ensuring that our discoveries are lost forever and that future contact between our civilizations will be adversarial. High Chancellor Mordeth's form blazed with intensity as she considered the options. Around the chamber, alien delegates engaged in frantic consultations, their various species weighing the risks and benefits of humanity's offer. There is a third option, rumbled General Korthak. Conditional membership. You join the Council, but under observation. Your technology is shared gradually, your expansion is monitored, your military capabilities are constrained. Chen's expression didn't change, but her words carried absolute finality. Unacceptable. You're in no position to make demands, Korthak growled. General, Martinez replied calmly, we're in the strongest negotiating position possible. We have something you want, the ability to deny it to you, and the capability to ensure that forcing the issue would be prohibitively costly. But we also have something else, Dr. Vasquez added, activating one final subroutine in her quantum implants. The holographic display shifted to show new data, star charts marking systems beyond the current borders of Council space, resource surveys of unprecedented detail, and most importantly, evidence of other ruins similar to those found on Kepler 442b. The civilization that inhabited Kepler 442b wasn't unique, she announced. Our expansion has located ruins on 6 other worlds, each containing different aspects of their technology. We've barely begun to understand what they left behind. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. Humanity wasn't just offering access to revolutionary technology. They were offering to share the greatest archaeological discovery in galactic history. 6 more sites, whispered Coordinator Thex. The scientific implications alone are staggering, Dr. Vasquez agreed. But exploring them safely requires resources, expertise, and collaborative effort that no single species could provide. It requires a galactic community working together. High Chancellor Mordetha's ethereal form pulsed with